Thanks. Okay, so overall, hi everyone, and welcome back to this month's Hoperation Fund report and meeting. So today I'm just going to quickly introduce the Hoperation Fund and do the fund report. Then we're going to move on to the market analysis and then finance and investment lectures. And if we have time, we'll end with an open discussion. Someone say an open chat? Oh, okay. So established on May 18, 2023, the Hoperation Fund is a nonprofit organization with two missions. Number one, through fundraising and receiving public donations, the Hoperation Fund invests capital in the stock market and donates investment profits to nonprofit organizations dedicated to environmental protection, education in underserved regions, children and women's welfare, and other causes. At the Hoperation Fund, we also fill educational gaps by equipping students and adults with essential knowledge and skills in personal finance and investment, areas often overlooked in traditional school education. So we have four main steps at the Hoperation Fund. Okay, sure. Fundraising, investing, donating, and education. In the fundraising step, we host reading clubs, lectures, and talks, and get donations from the public to raise capital. In the future, we also hope to have various gift sales and tutoring opportunities. For the investing step of the Hoperation Fund, we manage the Hoperation Fund investment portfolio and discuss its new positions and investing information. For the donating step, we make selection criteria to select nonprofit organizations and research them. Then we donate to these organizations and charities to fulfill our mission at donating to various positive nonprofits. And finally, for education, we host and participate in financial and investment lectures, internal reading clubs, and and hopefully in the future, invited talks and study groups to share and learn more financial knowledge. Okay, so now that we're done with the introductions for the Hoperation Fund, I would like to make several announcements. So first of all, again, we are looking for new advisors. The Hoperation Fund is seeking both student and adult advisors to join our team. You don't especially need to have a giant background in finance. What's important is your experience in organizing student-led nonprofit initiatives and your enthusiasm. If you're passionate about supporting
better brawler and just in general, Fire's
Oh, this is
Fire's double healing,
Jerry,
bro.
this basically this is the same thing as I forgot Siege, right? This is
Yeah, I know it is better.
Okay, so if you're passionate about supporting nonprofits and you want to make a difference, you are already qualified. So we already have one new adult advisor in the Hoperation Fund, but we're actively but since we are planning a lot of more activities, we welcome anyone who is interested or who thinks their friends or parents may be interested to reach out to us. You can contact me with your Gmail, with my email, or anywhere else. So I think a few people have questions. Minya Shen, do you have a question about this? Or Oh, sorry.
So basically, do you need the Fidelity.com account or is it optional?
If you're an advisor.
No. Just like for this class.
Oh, you don't especially need a Fidelity account, but I would encourage you to like start one, to start investing. And again, since we're going to be sharing like some investing tips and some stock tips every meeting, I would encourage you to start a Fidelity account and get started like buying stocks or like researching stocks. But yeah, it's never too late to get started investing, and I would encourage anyone to invest as early as they can because as I've said before, there are a lot of advantages to investing as early as you can. But yeah, I don't think it's 100% required. Unless you're in the Hoperation Fund. Sebastian, do you have a question?
So what's your Gmail?
Oh, my Gmail is, hold on, I can share it in the chat, sorry. Um, oh, right. Um, oh wait, that's actually at the top of my slides, I think. Let me reshare my screen, sorry. Okay, it's actually at the top of my screen if you, so I don't really, so double, oh wait, that's my actually skit. That's my website, fund@gmail.com. This should be it. Sorry, the link at the top is to the website, I think. Okay, so if you okay, if you are interested in being an advisor, or if you think someone else might be interested, feel free to contact me at my email. Okay, so question. I think William has a question. What duties will advisors perform? Well, since we have some other future activities planned, and at the Hoperation Fund, we already have like a lot of activities such as fundraising activities or donating activities where we go to um like nonprofits and charities to donate. Advisors can and like some tasks advisors do is like they can oversee and like plan those activities. You can or of course organize them and participate in them, um maybe provide advice and like go in and participate in Hoperation Fund meetings and discussions, etc. But if you have any more specific questions, you can send an email to the Hoperation Fund, or you can send an email to me asking about being an advisor. Okay, yeah, that email should be it. Yeah, okay. Never mind. So going back to the Hoperation Fund, my second announcement for today is that we are seeking fundraising ideas. So we're on the lookout for innovative and creative fundraising ideas. And if you have any suggestions or strategies that could help us raise funds for our mission, we'd love to hear from you. So maybe some ideas for context are like a second reading club, a yard sale or tutoring that members of the Hoperation Fund could all participate in and help fundraise in. So if you have any like suggestions, please feel free to go email me, and yeah. So my third announcement is that we are recommending nonprofits to receive our donations too. Or we are searching for recommendations to those nonprofits. So we are currently beginning to consider nonprofit organizations and projects that could benefit from our donations. So if you know of such organizations or projects, please share recommendations with us. We would love to have more charities and and nonprofits to consider and to research on to receive our donations. For example, some examples of topics that that of organizations that the Hoperation Fund might be interested in are education in underserved regions, nations, the welfare of children and women, environmental conservation, animal protection, and student projects on STEAM and humanities. So these are just some topics that the Hoperation Fund is interested in or is donating to organizations focused on, but we aren't limited to these topics. So if you have, again, if you know about any organizations or charities that you think we would be interested in or want to donate to, please email me. I know one of our members of the Hoperation Fund, Amy Zink, recommended a charity previously about helping and conserving different types of fungi, I think. Fungi. So that was a really interesting recommendation. And again, thank you, Amy, for sharing that charity with us. If anybody else knows of any other charities, again, please tell us. And finally, this is a new announcement for today. We are also planning to organize more activities. So for example, maybe a book club on math and algorithms, or an AI coffee talk. You can access more details on the Hoperation Fund website, but an idea of a new activity we might do is an AI coffee talk where participants of the coffee talk can enjoy a drink at a local Starbucks where everyone would gather around they would bring an article on an AI related topics or some interesting facts or recent news about AI and data science. So this would help start and fuel AI related discussions, and yeah. So the schedule and meeting places are to be determined, but that's a new idea that we have. Another idea that we have at the Hoperation Fund are invited talks, where we would invite a professional investor or a highly experienced or influential adult to give a lecture about finance and investing for the Hoperation Fund. However, though, these invited talks and lectures from professionals or professors would have to cost a lot of money because besides organizing venues and spending times on organizing those talks, we would also have to pay those guest speakers money. So I would estimate around $250 or more for a talk, but that's still a lot of money for the Hoperation Fund. And in order to make these talks a reality, we would need a lot of new donations and of course new members to gather enough funds for these talks. So again, if you know any friends or family members who may be interested, please tell them about the Hoperation Fund, as they could greatly contribute to the Hoperation Fund's capital And besides, membership fees can also contribute to our expenses. So speaking of fundraising, I'm going to just go over the steps for fundraising. Step 1 is to fill out the form. I think you can access this form on the Hoperation Fund website. So this form will basically tell us that you are donating or have donated to the Hoperation Fund. Can you guys see it? Oh, I've already responded. Whatever. So, anyways, for this form, you can fill out your name and other information so we know that you have donated to the Hoperation Fund and we can give you credit. Step 2 is to actually donate to the Hoperation Fund. So you can contribute capital via Zelle. And for more information on that, you can go to the website or you can ask me or you can email me later. So what's unique about the donating part of our Hoperation Fund? Well, first of all, in the Hoperation Fund, you can request back your donated original capital after 6 months. With other organizations or charities, you can't do this, but for the Hoperation Fund, we basically borrow your money to invest in the stock market and gain profits, which we would then donate to other charities or organizations. However, after a period of 6 months, you can request back your original capital. So you're basically helping us for free. You can also suggest us to donate the investment profits from your contributed capital to the organizations you prefer. So in the form, you can state an organization or charity to donate to if you have a charity in mind. Then we will make sure to take the profits from your donation to that organization or charity. So here you can see in this spreadsheet, you can see the current contributors. So here in this spreadsheet, if you've already donated, you can see your name, the capital you donated in, and the returns, and other information, such as the return rates from your donations or the profit you gained from your donations, the total gain in dollars, the money we donated to your charities, etc. You can, if you specified a charity you want your money to be donated to, here in this column, we also post links as proof that we have donated to the charity you want us to. So for example, if you specified us to donate the profits from your donations to a specific charity, for example, Citizens of Tomorrow, in this column, we will have a link which shows proof that we have donated to that charity. So here is proof that we have donated to Citizens of Tomorrow. Wait. And finally, again, I would like to remind you again, it takes tons of hours to make these investment lecture slides. So if you think these lectures are helpful to you, please introduce the Hoperation Fund to your friends so we can reach out to more people and share our investment tips and investment knowledge with more people. And again, if you think these investment lectures are helpful to you and you support our cause, also feel free to donate to the Hoperation Fund. Okay. So for donations in October, the Hoperation Fund received $3,660 in donations from these three people here. R. Olstein, T. Brown, and Jin Xia. I also contributed $1,860. In November, the Hoperation Fund also received some other donations from Sissy, Charlie L, and William Yang, who donated $150, $50, and $65 respectively. Okay. Oh yeah, so I would like to thank all of these donators for contributing to the Hoperation Fund. Contributing. Okay. So now let's move on to talk about the investment portfolios of the Hoperation Fund. The return in October of the Hoperation Fund was negative 0.1%. The balance at the end of last month was $17,618.48. At the beginning of this month, we got $50 from fundraising activities, namely a new member joined us, and we received $3,660 in donations. The final balance at the beginning of this month was $21,328.48. The final balance at the end of this month was $21,306.29. So here's a screenshot of the Hoperation Fund portfolio. You can see we have multiple stocks in different sectors such as technology, insurance, finance, consumer, healthcare, energy, and sector ETFs to better diversify our investments. So here's a comparison of the Hoperation Fund against SPY and QQQ. You can see the year-to-date of the Hoperation Fund is still 35.4%. Again, this is much higher than SPY and QQQ's year-to-dates of 20.8% and 18.7%. In October, I increased the shares of the existing positions, MSCI, Costco, Microsoft, and Amazon. And I sold the ETFs FXI, ITB, and IYT. I bought the 2 times leveraged ETF of QQQ QLD. This was because October is one of the best months for the stock market on average. Okay, so here are just some comparisons of the monthly returns. Why I sold FXI? Okay, sure. So since FXI is a Chinese stock market ETF, since Trump won the election, we think he might have some like other rules. He might make some rules restricting the Chinese economy, which would ultimately make the Chinese stock market go down. Yeah. I hope that answers your question, Jeremy. Okay. Yep, no problem. Again, if anyone has any questions, you can either ask me in the chat, or of course, if you have any like super specific questions, you can also ask which you want me to like elaborate on a lot. You can also ask me in my email. So where was I? Yeah, okay. So here are some comparisons of the monthly returns of the Hoperation Fund portfolio, SPY, and QQQ. Here you can see is a graph of the cumulative returns of the three investments, and here is a table. Note that the return since its inception, since June 2023, the Hoperation Fund has had a return of 67.2%. So again, this is really massive. Since since that was just around a year and a half ago. So now let's move on to talk about our market analysis. For the market direction, the short-term, midterm, and long-term market direction is bullish. The market sentiment, according to the CNN Fear and Greed Index, is also 61. So we talked about the CNN Fear and Greed Index multiple times before. Right now, it's slightly greedy. So the market is now slightly greedy, and this is a pretty good time to start investing a lot. So I would suggest, or I would recommend buying a lot of stocks or holding a large position size in stocks. And I would recommend holding a smaller position size in bonds. I would suggest continuing to accumulate commodities and to avoid holding rates or cash, as right now the market isn't very good for holding cash, and I would recommend buying stocks more. For market valuation, the 10-year Treasury yield as of now is 4.306%. As a rule, the reciprocal of the 10-year Treasury yield gives the true valuation or the true value of the market. Right now, the reciprocal of 4.306%, or 1 over 4.306%, is around 23, I think. Hmm. For commodities, for example, well, could you provide examples? Okay, sure. So for commodities, I would recommend, besides like continuing to buy like stocks and bonds, I would recommend like maybe continuing to like buy some like assets such as gold and stuff. For example, like continuing to buy in small amounts, or like continuing to hold commodities such as gold. But of course, I would still avoid like holding cash and rates, as right now the market is more of like bullish. So I would like for earning money, like earning profits, I would recommend buying more of like stocks. Because cash can sometimes be used as a hedge against the stock market, and right now, since the stock market is bullish, I feel like holding things such as cash and stuff would be a bit unwise. But yeah. now that Trump has been elected, what is your opinion on Tesla stock? Well, okay, so since Trump has been elected and like Elon Musk is very close to Trump, in my personal opinion, I feel like I bought Tesla. Okay, there's so many questions. Okay, so since Elon Musk is very close to Trump, and like again, he was one of the leaders in like Trump's campaign and stuff. So now that Trump has been elected, I feel like I would be pretty positive on Tesla stock, because since Elon Musk is very close to Trump, he could definitely persuade Trump to like make a lot of laws and rules that would be favorable to Tesla, such as heavily taxing external import external imports so that Tesla's competitors, such as Chinese electrical car vehicle manufacturers, would have like disadvantages and stuff. So I feel like since personally, I bought Tesla stock in my personal account, a little bit of Tesla stock, now that Trump has been elected, because I believe that um Tesla could have a lot of new like laws that would be favorable to it. But that's just my own personal opinion, okay? And that's, of course, it's just my own personal opinion. Everyone has their own opinions about that stuff. And if you want more information, you could always like look at different news articles and stuff. Personally, I feel like Tesla is more favorable now that Trump has been elected. But yeah. Why do you not buy Nvidia stocks? Like why do I not buy Nvidia stocks? Jeremy, I hope that your question was answered, by the way, sorry. So moving on to the next question. Why do you not buy Nvidia stocks? Yeah, I don't understand our question that much because I already bought Nvidia and I don't know why you would not buy Nvidia. So I will pass over that question. Sorry, maybe if you have more clarification, maybe, yeah. Okay. So, does anyone have any more questions? Yeah, really think explains that well. We at the Hoperation Fund have already invested in NVIDIA for a long time. So I don't know if I can answer that question that well, but okay. So moving on to market analysis, our second market analysis portion for today. Here is a visualization of maybe an ideal economy and stock market simulation. Here you can see that I would like to emphasize on this also. The economy and the stock market are two very different things. Well, are two different things. The stock market is often a leading indicator of the economy. So when the stock market goes up, the economy will go up, but only after a period of time, like from a few months to around half a year, I think. So, when the market goes down, the economy will go down, but again, only after a long period of time. Um, Here, this visualization shows various stages of the economy and the market. From the market bottom, bull market, market top, bear market, late bear market, for recession, early recovery, for recovery, and early recession. And here these green boxes show good sectors for each stage in the economy and the market. Of course, this isn't going to be extremely accurate sometimes, but this is just a general, pretty accurate, like general guidelines. And of course, the economy and the actual real life stock market will be way more volatile and irregular than this visualization. This is just maybe like an ideal representation of what it would be like. So I'll give you guys a moment to look at these, but I would also like to pose this question. Where do you think we are on this visualization? Like what stage do you think the economy and the stock market is in now? You guys can blurt out the answers if you want. Like where do you think we are in this visualization? Okay, so dun 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 dun.
I think full recovered.
Full recovered? Interesting. Oh yeah, I think some other people also answered. Sorry, I didn't see that. Somewhere in the bullish market, bull market. Okay, so this is most of you guys, like you guys are around, pretty correct. So I think generally right now the market is in this yellow period. So in a medium rising bull market, for the stock market, and the economy is in a recovering stage from a previous recession. So like still a recession to early recovery. Yeah, nice. Yeah, thanks. Thank you everyone for responding and sharing your opinion. Yeah, that's cool. So okay, so back to our market analysis. If we're in this yellow period, we can from this visualization find some good sectors to invest in. If we know the period of the economy and the stock market we're in. I will talk about this later on in later slides. Right now though, I would also like to touch on another thing, November seasonality patterns. So in this visualization or in this graph, you can see the S&P 500's average return in each month since 1950. So outlined in this red section is the section for November. You can see that November has significantly, or at least has higher returns on average than any other month. And this is especially noticeable in election years, where the average return is slightly higher than in all other years. So what can we see from this graph? Well, we can see that again, November is a really good month to invest in. In fact, it's the best month to invest in. And since this year is an election year, I think we can expect slightly higher returns on average. So I would greatly, so besides this, the fact that the market sentiment right now is also pretty bullish, I would greatly recommend buying stocks and doing some short-term or long-term investing. So yeah, I just thought this might be helpful. Okay, so Sebastian just asked, Bitcoin is hitting 80K on the Trump victory news. Do you have an opinion about crypto? For Bitcoin, personally, I don't like to invest in Bitcoin because Bitcoin isn't especially like the stock market. Like why with the stock market you can sometimes, yes, if you're really good, you can like predict it and you can like see like different indicators. So Bitcoin, it's more gambling than investing in my opinion. Um so I think Bitcoin is very volatile. Like it can go up and down extremely quick. So and I personally, I don't know much about investing in Bitcoin, because of course I don't do it that much myself. So I don't really have an opinion about crypto, except that it's a very risky investment. So again, I wouldn't consider it actually, I wouldn't really consider it an investment. I would again consider it more of gambling. But yeah, to each their own. If you especially want to invest in Bitcoin, sure do. But I personally myself, I don't have much of an opinion about crypto. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, no problem at all. So do you know of any up-and-coming companies that could yield great returns down the line? Do you know of any up-and-coming companies that could yield great returns down the line? I personally have been looking into that. Okay, actually, you know what? I was just about to talk about a company, actually. That's really chance. I was just about to talk about a company that could yield great returns down the line. So wait a second, William. Also, by the way, I know of lots of companies that could yield great returns, that could possibly yield great returns. But if you want to know more, of course, in these Hoperation Fund investment lectures and meetings, we always talk about new stocks or companies to invest in. So you can like follow along, and feel free to research any of the companies that I mention in these meetings. But yeah, it's really interesting, William, that you have been looking into that and researching it yourself. That's really cool. Okay, so I was saying that I was talking about a stock that could yield great return, right? That would be Costco. So I've already talked about the Costco stock in previous videos, in this one year ago and this one 3 years ago. If you want, you could look at them after this meeting if you want some extra information maybe. But so here's a question you may be wondering. Why is Costco so special? I was actually going to talk about this a week ago before, but whatever. This is because Costco has had positive returns in every single November since 2009. From 2009, 2010, 2011, 2012, all the way to 2023, Costco has had positive returns in every November and pretty significant positive returns in some months. Also, during an interview on October 29, 2023, Charlie Munger, a legendary investor, who was a legendary investor and extremely influential, commented on Costco too. He agreed, saying that he'd never sell any Costco stocks. Well, I don't especially know about that. I would say that I personally would buy the Costco stock, this November too. I personally have bought it already, at the very beginning of this November, as since it has yielded positive to pretty high returns every single November. It feels safe to say that Costco will most likely yield positive returns, um, this year too. However, um, one warning though, Costco, so far this month has already had a return of 8%, which I happen to profit from since I already bought Costco. But Costco, if you haven't bought Costco already, Costco already has had a return of 8%, and Costco tends to have like returns of around 5 to 7, 8-ish% in November. You can see most of its returns in November in previous years, according to historical data have been in the 5 to 7 or 8% range. There's only been one notable time in 2017 when Costco had extremely high returns of 14.8% in November. Other times it's mostly just around like 6%, 7%. So this month so far, Costco has already had 8% returns. So I feel like there's not that much room for Costco to grow for this November. So I would be more cautious when investing if you're like super eager to buy Costco now, because there's a chance that Costco might not earn as much um during the later half of this month. Uh, oh yeah, Sebastian Penley said that, are you worried about the multiples on Costco at this point? Um, yeah, Costco's P ratio is pretty high too. Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. Costco at this point, right now is pretty overvalued, I'd say, right now. I'd say it's pretty overpriced right now, so I would recommend not buying it right now. Um, like maybe waiting a little. For a really good time to buy Costco, I'd say it would be the like the very, very beginning of this month. But for now, I'd say I'd recommend like waiting to buy Costco. I wouldn't recommend buying it instantly right now. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so does anyone have any more questions? Okay, so now let's move on to today's investment lecture. This will be our third investment lecture. And today, besides reviewing last time's contents about market indexes and index ETFs, I will also talk about S&P 500 sectors and sector ETFs and business cycles and asset allocations. And I will talk about my recommendations for some sector ETFs. So I think someone else. Yeah, William, you asked about some companies that could yield great returns down the line. Um, Besides the company I just said before, which I would recommend waiting a little on, you could also buy some sector ETFs. Okay. Mm. So first of all, what's a market index? Well, a market index tracks the performance of a specific basket of stocks that represents a particular market. So examples include the Dow Jones Industrial Average and the Standard & Poor's 500 index. You cannot directly invest in these indexes, but you can invest in ETFs tracking the indexes. So so now let's talk about one index, the Dow Jones Industrial Average. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is a stock market index that tracks 30 large, publicly owned blue chip companies trading on the New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ. The index is a widely watched benchmark index for US blue chip stocks. A blue chips is a nationally or internationally recognized, well-established, and financially sound company, if you didn't know the term. Blue chips generally sell high-quality, widely accepted products and services. Yeah, here in this screenshot, you can see the returns of the index, the Dow Jones Industrial Average so far. Okay, so the components, in other words, the 30 stocks of the index change as the economy changes. A component of the industrial average may be dropped when a company becomes less relevant to current trends of the economy, to be replaced by a new one that better reflects the shift. Here is a screenshot of the top 10 holdings. So that's the top 10, right? Yeah. Here's a screenshot of the top 10 holdings of the Dow Jones Industrial Average, and their respective weights. You might recognize some of them, like Microsoft, Home Depot, Caterpillar. That company makes like construction equipment, like notes, Visa, American Express, etc. A company may be removed from the index when its market capitalization drops because of financial distress. The index value can be viewed as a simple average of all the 30 stocks' share prices. So stocks with higher share prices are given greater weight in the index. Oh, speaking of which, do you guys know about the recent news, or like a recent thing that happened in the Dow Jones Industrial Average? Anyone?
That Intel got dropped.
They added NVIDIA.
Oh yeah. Who said that? I think there are two people, William and Sebastian. Well, anyways, you guys are correct. Yeah. Um. Recently, the company NVIDIA joined the Dow Jones Industrial Average, and replaced a rival chipmaker Intel, which was a company that was previously on the Dow Jones Industrial Average. So here's a screenshot of a news article on that. I think the title gives you everything you would maybe want to know about that, but yeah. Yeah, so that might be just a bit of interesting news if you're interested. Okay, now let's move on to talk about the S&P 500 index, I think. Sebastian said, I saw on your YouTube channel you had an AI-generated investment strategy that seems very promising in backtest. Are you using that? Oh yeah, for that investment, by the way, which one? Oh yeah, first Sebastian, I think I had two AI-generated investment strategies. Oh, you mean the one with the 137% return? Oh yeah, that's one. That one was composed of selecting pretty high momentum stocks. However, those high momentum stocks, like extremely high momentum stocks, were very promising when backtesting. But afterwards I found some slight errors and bugs with like the backtesting, so I decided not to pause using that strategy until I can fix the flaws in that strategy. But yeah. But whatever. So moving on to talk about the S&P 500 index. The S&P 500 index features, this is another index. How come, oh, I think Minashan has another question. How come Microsoft still dominates the market? Isn't it 30 plus years old? Okay, I don't know about the exact age of Microsoft, but Microsoft has a very sustained competitive advantage. It focuses a lot on like R&D and stuff. And like again, its products are still good. So again, it still dominates the market, yeah. Okay. So, but like if you guys are interested in a particular company, you could always like research that on different like financial websites and stuff. So the S&P 500 index features 500 leading U.S. publicly traded companies. These companies can be categorized into 11 sectors, such as technology sector, healthcare sector, energy sector, finance sector, industrial sector, etc. Here's a visualization you guys might have seen of the different sectors in the S&P 500 and different stocks in each sector, where the bigger stocks stand where the bigger stocks show like higher value, take up higher value in the index. So the S&P 500 index is widely considered one of the best gauges of stocks of large US companies and even the entire equities market. And this index has strict criteria to include companies of good quality in the index and to drop companies not meeting the criteria. This index is market capitalization weighted also, which means that the larger a company's market capitalization is, the more weight it has in the index. You guys might have seen that from this visualization here, where the bigger squares or rectangles like Microsoft, Apple, Google, Meta, Amazon, NVIDIA, these are like bigger companies and take up a greater weight in the index, which is why they occupy more of the visualization. Okay. Some other market indexes are like the Nasdaq Composite Index, which is a market capitalization weighted index of more than 3,700 stocks listed on the Nasdaq Stock Exchange. It is a broad index heavily weighted toward the technology sector. And there's the Nasdaq 100 Index, which is a basket of the 100 largest, most actively traded US companies listed on the Nasdaq Stock Exchange. It is also market capitalization weighted, and includes companies from various industries such as technology, retail, biotechnology, industrial, healthcare, and others, except for the finance industry. Then there's the S&P Midcap 400 Index, which is a market capitalization weighted index of 400 US companies with mid-range capitalization. And the Russell 2000 Index. So the Russell 2000 Index is a market capitalization weighted index comprised of 2,000 small cap companies. This is frequently used as a benchmark for measuring the performance of small cap funds. And this is also an important market index combined with the S&P 500 to check the safety of the market. So, speaking of market indexes, there are also market index ETFs. These track the market index. So an ETF that tracks the Dow Jones Industrial Average is the Spider Dow Jones Industrial Average ETF Trust, ticker symbol DIA. You can see while DIA might have the ETF DIA might have a different price than the Dow Jones Industrial Average to the left, its returns are about the same as the index it tracks. The Dow Jones Industrial Average has had a return of 27.88%, and the Spider Dow Jones Industrial Average ETF Trust (DIA) has had a return of 27.85% this past year. And you can see from this graph that they are actually around about the same. They have about the same returns actually. So these index ETFs are a great way to like basically buy an index without having to like pay the actual cost of it. It's much cheaper, and you can buy it better individually. And it again has basically the same returns as the index it tracks. So it has about the same benefits. And yeah. So index ETFs are a great way to invest in the stock market. So if you want more information about the next ETF, DIA, you can either search it up in Google or you can search it up in Yahoo, which is a finance website. In Yahoo, you can input DIA and clicking on the holding section, see what are the top 10 holdings of this ETF. The top 10 holdings are here in this screenshot for your convenience. And yeah. Okay. So there are also multiple ETFs that track the S&P 500 index, such as the Spider S&P 500 ETF Trust SPY, the iShares Core S&P 500 ETF IBB, the Vanguard 500 Index Fund ETF VOO. These all track the S&P 500 index, and they're all very similar. You can see they all have extremely similar returns to the index. But of course, that they are made by different companies, I think. I think SPY is the most common index ETF that tracks the S&P 500 index, I think. And anyways, for the Hoperation Fund and our monthly reports, I use SPY to compare against the Hoperation Fund investment portfolio. But they are around the same. Oh, an ETF. What's an ETF? An ETF is basically like a basket of stocks. I think we touched upon this in previous lectures, like in lecture number 1 and lecture number 2. It's basically just a basket. Instead of like a stock being like a singular stock, an ETF is a basket of stocks, various different stocks. Usually focus on like a particular like market segment or something, or like a particular purpose. So it's a great way to invest if you have like a particular purpose in mind. And yeah, no problem. Again, it's no problem when people ask questions. If you have any questions about stock market investing, you can always feel free to ask me. Yeah. So here are some main market indexes and their ETFs. As you can see, for Dow Jones Industrial Average, there's DIA, S&P 500 Index, there's SPY, IBB, VOO, SPLG, and for all of these other market indexes that we talked about today, you can just look at this for a few seconds. I don't think you need to like memorize it or anything. Okay. So now we're talking about market indexes and like index ETFs. Let's also talk about sectors and sector ETFs. So there are various sectors in the S&P 500 index. The S&P 500 index has 11 sectors in total. So there are also 11 sector ETFs tracking the stocks of the 11 sectors. So the 11 sectors are here. There's communication services, consumer discretionary, consumer staples, energy, financials, healthcare, industrials, materials, real estate, technology, and utilities. To like just go over it really quick. For each sector of the S&P 500 index, or each sector of the index, there's a sector ETF that tracks it. So inside of like a market in ETF, like an index fund, tracking an entire index, we have sector ETFs that track a part of the index. So I think that's the main difference. So why should you study the sector ETFs? Oh, I don't think all of the sectors have the same weight in the S&P 500. At least yeah, I don't think the sectors have the same weight. Yeah. So why should you study the sector ETFs? Different sectors do well at different stages in the business cycle. So the stages are like early recovery, early recession, and full recession. Understanding this pattern is helpful to build a portfolio with higher returns and lower risks, as maybe some sectors do especially well in one stage of the economy or one stage of the market. One sector ETF, for instance, is XLP. It's the material sector ETF. Actually, I'll go over all 11 of these really quickly. But we just have a little bit more material left in these lectures, and I think I can go over it pretty quickly. But like if anyone needs to go, you can go now. But I'm just, because I think it's around time, but whatever. So XLP, the material sector ETF. This sector ETF includes companies that are involved in the production of raw materials such as chemicals, metals, and construction materials. This sector benefits from increasing demand for raw materials as production and industrial activity ramp up. And this is a strong sector in the early expansion stage of the economy. So I'd say around here-ish. If you guys like look at the visualization, I'd say around this part. Okay. XLC, the communications services sector ETF, includes companies that provide communication services such as the internet, media, entertainment, and telecommunications. This sector performs well later in the cycle and into recessions as consumers continue to use communication and media services regardless of economic conditions. And this is a strong sector in later expansion to recession of the economy. So around here. So yeah, I'd say around here for the market. You might notice you might know a lot of these companies here, like Meta, or Facebook, Google, Netflix, Disney, T-Mobile, AT&T, Verizon, etc. Oh yeah, bye Sebastian. If you have to go too soon, it's okay. There's not that much you're miss anyways. It's just some sector ETFs and like which sectors they're good for, or which stages of the economy they're good for. But there's always like a recording and stuff. But like see you. Okay, so Johnson, what's Alphabet in Class A? I've only heard of Alphabet in Class C. I think the difference between Alphabet classes A and classes C is that they have voting, like they have shareholder rights. I think I forgot which one has shareholder rights, but I know one of the classes has shareholder rights and other stuff. I think, yeah, I think. But I'm not too, like if you have like any like in the detail questions, you can always ask Google and stuff. Yeah, I think they have like shareholder rights and stuff. Okay. Okay. Next, let's move on to the energy sector ETF, XOE, which consists of companies involved in the exploration, production, and distribution of energy resources, including oil, natural gas, and renewable energy. Energy demand typically rises during the middle of an economic expansion. as industrial activity and transportation increase, driving up energy consumption. And this is strong in the middle expansion of the economy. So around here-ish. Then there's XLF, the financial sector ETF, which includes companies that provide financial services such as banks, insurance firms, investment companies, and real estate services. And this sector thrives in the early and mid stages of expansion and other special periods when lending activities increases and the total stock market performs well. This is a strong sector during early to mid expansion of the economy. Then there's XLI, the industrial sector ETF, which includes companies that produce goods and provide services used in construction, manufacturing, and transportation. This sector tends to benefit early to mid expansion as demand for construction, machinery, and transportation grows with the recovery of the economy. This is a strong sector during early to mid expansion of the economy. Here, I guess. XOK Technology Sector ETF. This includes companies that develop, produce, or distribute technology products and services such as software, hardware, semiconductors, and IT services. The sector outperforms during early to mid expansions as business invests in tech solutions, and this is a strong sector during early to mid expansion of the economy. Okay, I'd say around here. The graph says around here, but this visualization is a bit old. So it has some stuff that's not extremely accurate, I think. Okay. Consumer staples sector ETF. This includes companies that produce and distribute essential products such as food, beverages, household items, and personal care products. Believe it or not, Coca-Cola and Pepsi are in this sector actually. This sector performs well during recessions as they provide essential products like food and household goods, which remain in demand regardless of economic conditions. So this is a defensive sector during a recession, and one of the major sectors for building an income portfolio or retirement portfolio, as they're very stable. The XRE, the real estate sector ETF, includes companies that own, develop, and manage real estate properties, such as residential, commercial, and industrial buildings. And this sector benefits in the late expansion stage when interest rates are still relatively low and demand for housing and commercial properties is high. This is a defensive sector in late expansion to the peak of the economy when interest rates don't yet rise, and it's one of the major sectors for building income portfolios or like retirement portfolios. XLU, the utility sector ETF, includes companies that provide essential public services such as electricity, natural gas, water, and renewable energy. This sector tends to outperform during recessions as they provide essential services like electricity and water, which have steady demand regardless of the economy's health. Again, this is also a defensive sector in a recession, and again, it's also one of the major sectors for building a retirement portfolio. So you might want to consider these three sectors: consumer staples sector, real estate sector, and utility sector, as they're pretty stable. This is XLV, the healthcare sector ETF. This includes companies that provide medical services, manufacture healthcare equipment, and develop pharmaceuticals and biotechnology products. This sector, the healthcare sector, is usually considered considered a defensive sector that tends to perform well in recessions. But sometimes it can also be like a growth sector, such as in biotechnology sometimes. Also, one of the positions in the Hoperation Fund, Ellie, Lilly, and Colm. This is a more of a growth stock. It provides weight loss, uh, weight loss medicine, I think, or like weight loss shots. So this is a pretty big growth stock. Intuitive Surgical Inc. This is also a really big growth stock. This is a technology company too. It makes biotechnology equipment and robots to do surgery. And it's like robots can be extremely advanced. Like those robots can literally separate like a raw eggs like shell without breaking the egg, and like the egg skin without like making the egg spill. So it's like a really big technology company. So while some of the stocks in the healthcare sector can be growth stocks, some of the stocks are also like defensive stocks too. Because medical services and products are always in demand, regardless of your economic conditions. And this can also be a defensive sector in recession sometimes. And yeah, because everyone needs medicine, right? XLY, Consumer Discretionary Sector ETF. This includes companies that produce goods and services considered non-essentials, such as automobiles, retail, hotels, and entertainment. This sector performs best in the early to mid-expansion stages when consumer confidence is high, and people are more willing to spend on non-essential goods and services. This is a strong sector in the early to mid-expansion of the economy. Again, you might see some familiar companies here, like Amazon, Tesla, Home Depot. I think McDonald's can be both a consumer discretionary and consumer staples. There's Lolly, Starbucks, Nike, Chipotle, etc. This is a strong sector in the early to mid expansion of the economy. Okay, so as a summary, the stock market, as I've emphasized many times before, is different from the economy because it acts as a leading indicator for the broader economy. So if you're reading like an article on finance or investing, be careful if it's talking about the economy or the stock market, as those two can be very different things and they can be in very different stages at the same time. An economic cycle may not always pass through all of its stages, because again, the economy and the market are irregular. Some economic stages may be skipped, such as transitioning directly from early recession to early recovery. So for each stage of the economy, I listed the economy, remember? In the blue, I listed its strong sectors as a general rule. Note that again, this is a general rule. It doesn't apply in every single 100% scenario, but rarely anything does in real life though. This is just like as a general rule to keep in mind. For early expansion, the financial sector, industrial sector, and consumer discretionary sector are strong. The mid-expansion stage, the energy sectors, technology sectors, and material sector is strong. From the late expansion to peak stage of the economy, real estate and communication services are strong. And for recessions, consumer staples, utilities, and healthcare sectors are strong. Okay, so that's it for today, actually. We can do an open discussion if anyone has any questions or things they want to share about the stock market. So feel free to share any like interesting facts you recently heard about the stock market here. But that's the end of today's lecture. And for me, that's the end of today's Hoperation Fund monthly report and meeting. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Thank you all again
Thank
for
you.
coming.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for attending. Bye. Wait.